a topic that I think is very, very important to all of us, and that is how to do wise aging, because I think this is a topic which involves all of us. So I'm going to turn it over to Harriett Stonehill, who is our MC today, and I'm going to step back.
Wait, I'm mute.
Okay, fine, Harriet.
Hi, good morning. I have a very interesting group. I am just going to introduce them. You saw the invitation for them, but they are going to do what Temple Mike has started, which was called Wise Aging. And there are various modalities in this program. Harriet, are you going to talk about the modalities? So I am going to turn it over to our introducer. We have broken up the parts of it, and I welcome all of you. This is going to be an interactive meeting. You're not going to sit like we normally do when we do our normal meetings, but you're going to participate. So Harriette Kinberg, as you saw on the invitation, her background and what she does, will lead us in the introduction and tell you what the program is about. And then we will have Francie lead us in another part of it, which is meditation, which we need in these crazy times to learn how to diffuse our stress, which is a good thing. And then Evi Beck, a wonderful dance teacher. I just left a 2-hour session with her, or an 1.5-hour session, because she was preparing for this on circle dancing. And she will tell you before she starts exactly what that is. And that is a worldwide endeavor. So Harriet, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you, Harriett Stonehill. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. And here we go. Good. Okay, let me close something over here a little bit. Well, welcome everybody. I appreciate your interest in wise aging. Happy to be a part of this with you today. A big thank you to Harriett Stonehill. She not only included me today, but she was my first Wise Aging facilitator when I participated in the Wise Aging program at Temple Micah. I believe the year was 2015. And Harriett has been just a continual inspiration to me for how to live with joy, resilience, and spirit. I imagine anybody who knows Harriett feels the same. So what is Wise Aging? It's a program developed by the Institute for Jewish Spirituality, designed for people age 55 and older. And it gives us this opportunity to have very rich conversations about what it means to get older. We can come to some deeper understandings about life so that we can live with joy, resilience, and spirit. And the program relies quite heavily on mindfulness, contemplative practices such as meditation, which we'll do in a little bit, some text, excuse me, text study, journaling, gentle movement, which we'll do later with Evi Beck. And through this program, we can gain more social, emotional, and spiritual insights that help us meet the challenges of these years of our lives with a sustaining spirit. I owe much gratitude to the authors of the book, Wise Aging, Rabbi Rachel Cowan of blessed memory, and Dr. Linda Thal. They created Wise Aging workshops a number of years ago for seniors in the Jewish community. They broadened it to others. They created the book. They created a facilitator manual. They trained a number of people across the country. Francie Schwartz, who's with us today, was one of those people, trained directly by people in the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. And here is a kind of a photo of what a typical Wise Aging group might look like. This is one of our groups at Temple Micah, now in its alumni phase. They went through the initial book and they continue to meet monthly. And what happens in this group is conversation, questions, insights, sharing what's in our hearts. What are we grappling with? And when we're with others in a similar stage of life, whether in person or by Zoom, it just enriches my life and hopefully others too, giving me opportunities to learn from others, share optimism, laughter, sometimes tears, and certainly new insights. So ageism is kind of a major reason for this whole endeavor. You know, we live in a society that places a great deal of pressure on adults to work and achieve and stay vital and youthful. And then without our identities in the workforce, we might kind of feel lost and not know who we are or see our own value. And because ageism is all pervasive, guess what? We even internalize it ourselves. We may have our own biases against older folks. So what does that do? It leads us to deny the realities of aging or lack awareness of the fact that we're in a new stage of life. We have potential for growth and fulfillment, even if we might be limited by some physical decline or economic decline. So through this Wise Aging program, we can counter our own stereotypes and look with more a more balanced view at our future and have some positive ideas about what elderhood can be. None of us as Wise Aging facilitators claim to have the right answers. We don't claim to be experts. We're all in this process together. And what we're doing primarily is kind of transitioning from that phase of our life when we were in the workforce and constantly producing to spending more time thinking about our human being side of ourselves. And through that process, grow into our truest selves. So you may be wondering, well, how do you do this? Well, to quote the manual for facilitators, Wise Aging uses texts, poetry, experiential exercises, secular writings, and heartfelt dialogue to challenge participants to develop their own sense of what it means to number their days and grow a heart of wisdom. There are certain core components that you'll find in any Wise Aging group. We start with establishing some ground rules for safety and openness and trust, and definitely an agreement to be confidential with our conversations. And then what is so valuable about this program is what we call contemplative listening. You may know it as active listening. And what it involves is listening with great care to others in the group without commenting or interrupting or judging or giving, solutions to problems. It enables others to feel heard, find their inner voice, but even more so, it allows us also as part of the group to speak and feel safe as we go deeper into issues or ideas that we might not have devoted much time to express before. So here's a place where we can do it and in a safe environment. Every Wise Aging session typically has a check-in. A simple question usually is posed and everybody gets a chance to answer it within a few minutes. Or if they prefer not to answer, they can pass. But it's a wonderful chance to get to know participants a little better and for everyone to have a chance to speak. Text study. Within the book, there are a number of great materials, but facilitators often bring other great pieces that they've found along the way, or not just the facilitators, the participants as well bring these things, whether it's text or poems or stories that relate to the theme of the unit. We often employ a process, a Hebrew word called hevruta, which means studying in pairs or groups of 3. We take that text, we read through it, we really play with it. We talk about whether we agree or disagree, but we really try to get at the root of what is the author trying to say here? How does it relate to our lives? And then after the small group, we come back together in the larger group and share insights we've gained. As you've heard mentioned, we spend some time in almost every single session doing some kind of meditation. Sometimes it's silent reflection, sometimes it's guided, sometimes it's moving. So later we'll have an opportunity to see what a wise aging meditation session feels like, and Francie Schwartz will lead us through that. There are also some beautiful sacred practices that we incorporate into our wise aging sessions, whether they are prayers, rituals, music, other practices. They absolutely enhance the experience within the group and always leave me coming away with a feeling that, wow, what a special session this was. And then frequently there will be a gentle movement, like Evi will lead us in today, helps us just get some energy flowing and pay attention to breathing and appreciate that we really can keep moving and be limber and flexible. Journaling also is used sometimes within the session or as homework or just encouragement for everybody to keep a journal, write whatever comes to mind for them, anything they want to capture, share it at the next session or not, whatever they feel. So our primary topics revolve around the book itself and the 9 chapters there. Many of those chapters are so rich, they can be divided into several sessions. Oops, I missed one here. Chapter 1 is exploring this stage of our lives. Here's where we talk about ageism and what does it feel like now to be engaging in this stage of our lives when we may no longer be in the workforce. And this chapter is one that people tell me really makes an impact on them. Here's, maybe you've done it in other contexts, the river of life exercise, where you look back over your life in increments of like 7 years, some people do it in 10 years, and you chart this course, this timeline of all the major events in your life, who are the people involved. You step back and you look at the high points and think about what made it such a high? What were you experiencing at those moments? And then you look at the low points and see if there are resources you use there that help to get you through and that you might be able to employ in the future if necessary. So this is a very rich session that can be done not just in one session, but it can be done throughout the whole 9 sessions of the program or beyond. I keep tweaking mine every time I engage in wise aging. Chapter 3 is called I Am My Body, I Am Not My Body. Here's an opportunity to recognize that yes, our bodies are changing, but is it all for the bad? Is there something good we can find in growing older? And there's a walking meditation that is frequently done in this chapter that is so revealing. for me, it certainly was. And I've heard that from the groups I have facilitated. It's a new way to experience so many things. Chapter 4, this is one of those chapters that can be divided up and done over a period of time. Friendship, family and self, interdependence. And, you know, we live in a culture that places so much emphasis on independence. And as a result, many of us have negative feelings about being dependent on others. And when we do need help, we might deny or avoid or resist that help. So part of aging wisely helps us recognize the difference between wise independence and foolish independence. So this chapter, and whoops, again, how did I lose it here? Chapter 5 is a very beneficial chapter, forgiveness and reconciliation. It's an opportunity to really think about whether holding on to resentment is helping ourselves or not. So can we recognize that forgiveness enables us to come to terms, free ourselves. And so we can really analyze what is forgiveness. It's different from pardoning, excusing, forgetting, or reconciling. And through this process, we really get a sense of how vital it is to forgive ourselves. So this is a helpful chapter to so many people. And then chapter 6 is really woven throughout the entire program, but there is a chapter devoted to it. And wise aging, here the book focuses on just these 5, but certainly there are many, many more spiritual qualities or traits that we are working on. Gratitude, generosity, patience, joy, equanimity. We like to think of it as sort of a continuum, a line where the optimum point is right there in the middle, the sweet spot. So if you think about patience, on one far end of that continuum would be meekness or passivity. You're so patient that you just become a doormat. On the opposite end, you're so totally impatient that, you know, you're a hazard to yourself and others. So we look at, are there little daily intentions and practices we can employ to help us find that middle ground where we are the person we want to be with regard to any of these qualities: gratitude, generosity, patience, joy, and equanimity. And then we get into some heavier topics too: living with loss, finding light. Nobody's unique when it comes to pain. We don't have to bear it alone. Here's a chance to acknowledge and articulate our fears about aging and loss, and identify some spiritual practices that will be helpful. And here's where people in the group certainly help to support one another. And this can lead to much greater resilience for later when we might need it more. The next chapter is called Conscious Dying. And we can look at our fears, our questions, our concerns about death in a safe and supportive environment. You know, these are topics we just often don't discuss, but here's a place where we can. We ask ourselves, are we avoiding? Are we in denial? Is that serving us? And so we get a deeper opportunity to really become aware of our mortality and think about some practical things about our end of life plans for people around us. What can we do to make things easier for them? And really think about how we want to live in the face of mortality. And I would imagine that this pandemic has helped everybody to realize that that's the case. I love this quote, "Are we being good ancestors?" It comes from Jonas Salk, the developer of one of the very first polio vaccines. And vaccines are so important to us these days. So chapter 9 is called Legacy and Stewardship. And this is where we talk about ethical wills and what can we pass on to others in our families and around us. We get to really look back over our lives and realize we've done some good things. We have a legacy to share. And in addition, we can look at what else do we want to do? We're not done yet. What can we bring into this world? We still have a lot to offer. So one of the last pages of the book really sums up what I believe is the whole purpose of the program. Learn to accept whatever life brings with compassion. Stop, breathe, and feel. Open your heart to the awesome nature of the world and experience yourself as part of something so much bigger than you are. Find the prayers, melodies, poetry, silence, and rituals that express your awe, your pain, your gratitude, and your love. Find a spiritual friend to hear you and hold you. Build a community of people that meets its members' needs and reaches out to serve the world. So I encourage you to look for a wise aging group in your area to join, or just get the book and read it yourself, or maybe with a partner, or pull together a group of friends to read it together. And by all means, use the exercises and meditations that are right there in the book. There's wonderful, wonderful material there. It's fun. Enjoy the journey. And if you need help finding a group, there really are not all that many. It's still a very young program. But if you contact me, there's my email address. I'd be happy to help you. Through the Institute for Jewish Spirituality, we might be able to find a group that's still functioning by Zoom that you might be able to participate in. So I appreciate your interest, and we'll take questions, I suppose, at the end, or would you like to do that now?
Can we wait till the end? Because I'm sure we're going to have a lot.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harriet, and want to introduce myself. My name is Francie Schwartz, and I have been a member of the Wise Aging community at Temple Micah since before its creation, which is a very, very heavy load. And I also want to thank you so much for inviting us to present to your fantastic organization. I've heard so much about the clearinghouse on women's issue over the years from my dear friend Harriet, who I've known and worked and laughed and cried with. And it's my earnest belief that she should be named a national treasure.
Oh my.
I think many of you would agree with me. The spiritual practice of meditation is found in almost every religious tradition. In our Wise Aging tradition, we use mindfulness meditation because it's relatively simple, straightforward, and particularly well suited to the goal of developing self-knowledge. With greater awareness of what's going on in our bodies, our feelings, and our thoughts, we can learn to notice how we react to a range of stimuli. We also begin to notice that our thoughts, feelings, and sensations arise in our minds and our bodies really unbidden. And we learn that we are not in control of our lives as we like to think that we are. We begin to understand that the thoughts, feelings, and sensations that may catch our attention also fade away, that everything is impermanent, subject to change. We begin to see that while we may not have choices about what happens, we do have choices about how to respond to what happens. And this is so important, I'd like to repeat it. Though we may not have choices about what happens, we do have choices about how we want to respond to what happens. We learn to give ourselves time for reflection and for making wise rather than reactive decisions. Mindfulness meditation can help us understand ourselves as part of a story that is greater than our own narrative of aging. So rather than approaching aging with regret, denial, anger, nostalgia, or fear, by practicing mindfulness, we can approach aging with patience, trust, and equanimity. So a personal note before we start our own meditation. I've long considered myself Ms. Rationality and Ms. I can't be bothered with the touchy-feely stuff. But I was quite intrigued with the whole concept of wise aging. So I figured if the incredible women who designed the curriculum made meditation such a critical point of the project, it couldn't hurt to try. So I dove in and discovered just how important this practice has become to me, especially during this time of pandemic. Getting in touch with my deeper self has proven vital to my continued sanity, and I hope that you will agree. All right, so we're going to begin a little meditation on practicing gratitude, and I hope that you will participate with me. We are in a community setting. Look around and see yourself, even though we definitely are on Zoom, unfortunately, but thank goodness. And you'll see yourself as a small part of a larger whole. Imagine that what you're feeling is what others are feeling, and wish that only good will come to them. Notice how this makes you feel. So we're going to all participate in something called loving kindness, a mindfulness perspective that is adapted from a Buddhist metta practice. And I've adapted it from something in our Wise Aging book. First of all, sit comfortably with your eyes either closed or gazing down at the floor. Keep your spine straight. Bring your attention to your hands, resting in your lap or your legs. Have your palms open and facing up. Let your fingers soften and relax. You are not in need of anything in this moment. Bring to mind a beloved teacher or a mentor or a person for whom you feel immense love. Now visualize that person. Repeat these phrases, one with each in and out breath. And let's all take a couple of deep breaths first. May you be safe. May you feel healthy. May you feel peaceful. May you live with joy. May you be safe. May you feel healthy. May you feel peaceful. May you live with joy. Now focus on yourself. May I feel safe. May I feel healthy. May I feel peaceful. May I live with joy. May I feel safe. May I feel healthy. May I feel peaceful. May I live with joy. Now, focus on a person you see frequently, but may not know intimately, like your postal worker, the grocery clerk that you frequent, the dental receptionist. Repeat those same phrases directed at this person. May you be safe. May you feel healthy. May you feel peaceful. May you live with joy. May you be safe. May you feel healthy. May you feel peaceful. May you live with joy. Now, bring a person to mind who is difficult for you right now, who may cause you to feel tension or unhappiness. Your goal is to hold that person more softly, not necessarily to forgive, but to be able to feel some compassion toward. May you be safe. May you feel healthy. May you feel peaceful. May you live with joy. To conclude, bring your attention back to your breath. Feel the breath leaving your body. Allow the breath to complete itself naturally. Sit for a bit in this posture of loving kindness. Allow whatever is presenting itself in this moment to be fine, to be good. Open your eyes and stretch gently.
Thank you, Francie. I'm in a different place than where we started before the meditation. And let me tell you, it's a much better place. Okay, let's just all together just take one big stretch, and then Evi Beck will lead us in circle dancing, and we sure are gonna stretch with her. So let's just breathe and move all our muscles and even our flab. All right, Evi, it's yours.
Okay, I knocked my computer slightly off, so now I'm just getting my music ready before I even introduce myself, just so I'll know it's there. So I'm Evi Beck.
Come sit here.
My formal name is Evelyn Torton Beck, and to give you my creds, I'm one of the founders of Women's Studies many, many, many decades ago. When I was studying, there was no women's studies, and we made it up through hard work, through fighting the universities to convince the powers that be that women were worthy of study, that we had contributed to culture, and that we were a force to be reckoned with, which we still are. So I'm going to talk as little as I can because I want you to experience this, but you do have to know what you're doing a little bit. The form of dance that I do is called sacred circle dance. And the sacred about it, it has nothing to do with any particular religion. It is a spiritual practice that does draw upon music, folk music, and contemporary music. It uses very ancient dances from the villages of many different countries. It uses modern choreographies, but always keeping in mind those traditional steps. We have a general belief in the unity of all humanness, sort of a little bit to bring forward what Francie was talking about, that we are all connected, and that by moving together in this meditative, sometimes joyful, sometimes quiet way, we really can get in touch with the oneness of human nature, humanity, and we can perhaps make changes in the world. I've been dancing even before I became a professor. I was a folk dancer. Then when I became a professor, like many of you who may have been professionals, I stopped moving because that's what happens. But then I hadn't quite retired, but in the later part of my years teaching, I began doing this form of movement and totally fell in love with it. And I was a part of Wise Aging. I joined the Wise Aging group. Harriett Stonehill was my first teacher, actually. And when she would say in the middle of a 2-hour session, does anyone have any kind of a meditation to offer? I was right there. Okay, I can offer a dance. So we did a dance. And the next week, I did another dance, and by the end of our 9 sessions, Harriet had become so in love with the dancing. She said, "Why don't you offer this at Temple Micah on an ongoing basis?" I wasn't even a member of the temple. I went to see the rabbi. He said, "Oh, that would be wonderful." And that's how I came to be connected, how we're all interconnected in this way. So we have dances that have themes. We have dances that have many different themes. I thought I would start you off with a dance that's very, very, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. Our motto in this form of dancing is there are no mistakes, only variations. You cannot make a mistake. You can only do a variation of the step. So many people also get nervous about dancing. In this form, especially now we're in our own homes, but even if we were all together, we would be holding hands. I would demonstrate the steps. If you had questions, you would ask them. You're welcome to ask me questions even now when I show you the steps. The first step I'm going to show you is the simplest possible step. And if you want to see me, I hope you can see my feet. If you can't, do let me know. I may have shaken my computer a little bit, but I will show you the steps. They are among the oldest steps in the dance repertoire. And by the way, since we're on the theme of wise aging, I should say dance has been shown to be one of the healthiest activities to keep us well when we're older, not only physically, but it also has been shown to stave off dementia. Of all the activities, because we use both parts of the brain for dancing, you learn steps and you have to move. You have to both think and not think at the same time. It is a profoundly healthy practice. So I hope you all know how to use Zoom. I would say if you want to make sure you see me, pin me. By pinning me, if you go on the little square, that's me, you'll find 3 little dots if you're on a computer, and you can press on one of the little dots. If you press on them, it'll say pin. So you can pin me, and that means no matter what happens, no matter who else makes noise, I will be the picture that you see. So let me show you the steps, these very simple steps, and then I'll tell you about the dance we're going to do. Also, if you cannot move, if these dances can also be done seated, where you would mainly move your hands. Some people take these dances into nursing homes or into centers where people cannot move. So just do whatever you can. And if you don't want to move at all, just sit and listen to the wonderful music. So what we're going to do is what I always say for this form of dance: if you can walk, then you can do this. We're going to do a very basic step. With our right foot, this is my circle. Here's my middle of my circle.
Dance.
I have them here.
They did a great job, didn't they?
Okay, could whoever's in charge of this mute everybody else except me?
Done.
Okay, so now we're going to take 3 walking steps forward. Right, left, right, and then just lean back on your left foot. I'll do it again. Right, left, right, lean back. Right, left, right, lean back. Right, left, right, lean back. And you can do this step to many different kinds of music. We're going to do it to a march. We're going to the song Bread and Roses. The phrase bread and roses was actually created by a suffragette named Helen Todd. Some of you may have heard of her. And then it was used in a poem in 1911. The poem was written by a man, but the song sings about women who went on strike because they had to work so many hours, got so little pay, and even children were used to dance, to work. So in the textile strike in Massachusetts in 1912, this song was sung. And the words to it, maybe you can listen to the words as we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, talking about the kitchens, talking about nurturing, turking, but mainly we long for bread and roses. We need food and we need beauty in our lives. So are we ready? Does anyone have any questions, or can we just do it? So just move around. Okay, here goes.
We go marching, marching in the beauty of the day. A million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill lofts gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we go marching, marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's children, and we mother them again. Our life shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing their ancient call for bread, small art and love and beauty, their drudging spirits new. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. As we go marching, marching, we bring the graver days. The rising of the women means the rising of the race. No more the drudge and idler tend that toil where one reposes, but a sharing of life's glories, bread and roses, bread and roses. Our life shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies, bread and roses, bread and roses.
So that was Bread and Roses, sung by Judy Collins. Hearts starve as well as bodies. So this was, music has really helped change history. But there's also a spiritual component to our kind of dancing. The next song, the next dance is called Breaths. It is sung by Sweet Honey in the Rock, which is an amazing, amazing women's a cappella singing group founded by Bernice Johnson Reagan, who is also a curator at the Smithsonian. And this song is written by Issei Maria Barnwell. They are African-American women who are bringing the culture of civil rights and African culture to this country. And this very moving song is based on a poem by a Senegalese poet named Birago Diop, D-I-O-P. He is the man who brought the griots and storytelling, African storytelling to the Western world. So this song is about ancestors, and this is so much a part of wise aging. Who are our ancestors and how important they are to us? And I'm not going to read you the whole poem, but I recommend that you look it up. You can look up online, Breaths by Sweet Honey in the Rock. The poem says, listen more often to things than to beings. It's the ancestor's breath when the fire's voice is heard. The ancestor's breath is in the waters, in the trees. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. The dead are not under the earth. This is a song that we play very often when it's holiday time and time to honor our ancestors. So the dance is mostly wall steps. Just if you know how to do a wall step, right, 2, 3, left, 2, 3. Just, you don't, this dance, we wouldn't be holding hands even if we were in a circle. Just do 8 wall steps around the room. 8 times. Also, our other motto is that the music will tell us. So that we go around the room, and then when the music changes, we go 1, 2, 3 with wall steps. Just go into the center. In the center, I would have a candle and flowers and really a kind of an altar, because it both focalizes us, but also represents the ancient fires that our ancestors danced around. So I would go 1, 2, 3, calling my ancestors and then bringing them back to me. I call them and I bring them back to me twice. I just go in and out and in and out, and then I just sway 4 times. That's the whole dance. So let's do it together, or however you want to move to this music. Wall step, just waltz around 8 times. And then I'll show you from this angle. In, and then out, and in, and out. And then just sway, 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 sway. And I think it's a really simple enough dance so that you can follow me. Are there any questions that anyone wants to ask? Okay, we'll do it then. No questions. We'll just go right ahead and do Breaths. Beautiful, beautiful song.
Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things beings unto beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in the home. They are with us in the crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters.
So that was Breaths by Sweet Honey in the Rock. And I think we have time for one more longer dance. It's a dance, as I said, we have themes, and this dance is a Hawaiian song. It's called Imalama. It's a song about protecting the earth. It's both in Hawaiian and in English. And this is also another dance that we would not hold hands if we were all together. Mostly we do hold hands when we dance in a circle, but sometimes we have dances that don't. And this is a very beautiful dance sung in Hawaiian, Imalama, protect the oceans, protect the earth, protect the trees, and protect each other. So they're very simple steps. And then half the words are in English and half are in Hawaiian. We start out with the Hawaiian ones. So the first part, it's very simple. Most of you know what chi is. Chi is just energy. So you make a ball of chi with your hands. Just feel that energy. If you do this, don't touch it. Just let the energy be between your hands. And we're going to take many steps. I believe it's like 10 steps to the right, just stepping to the music, but making your ball of chi big or little, whatever you want. You can play with it, make it big. You can even put it over your body. Just play with it. So we're going to take a lot of steps going 1, 2, 3. And this is all in Hawaiian, they're singing. And then at one point, they stop singing in Hawaiian and will start to sing in English, a different melody. So you gently, we're going to go now toward the earth. Earth, if you can bend down. If you can't bend down, just put your hands toward the earth. You're honoring the earth and getting energy from the earth. So it's earth and sky. And then we make this beautiful thing with our hands, sea. and stone. And then you repeat, and then after you've done that, you bring your hands together and just bring them up over your head. So it says, hold this world in sacredness. So it goes, earth and sky, sea and stone, hold this land in sacredness. You repeat that twice. So let's practice it another time. Earth and sky, sea and stone, hold this land in sacredness. And then we go back to our chi. And we just think about holding the land in sacredness while we're taking those 10 steps and playing with our chi. And it's a very powerful, very moving dance. Just give yourself over to it. You don't have to think too much. Once you've done it once or twice, you won't even have to think about it, which is the goal, of course. Any questions? Good to go? Okay, Imalama. This will be our last dance for this time.
Hey
Usually.
Okay, you can talk now. I think, wait, let's see.
Okay,
Wait,
so, thank you. That was wonderful. After a morning session, I want you to know I danced with Evi this morning. Connie or Sue, will you take over now and see if any of the viewers, CWI people,
sit so
have
we
a
can see you.
question for any of the presenters? I want to personally
Sit down,
thank
sit down, I can see
my
you.
presenters. If Connie or Sue, do you want to take over the meeting?
Yes, we certainly want to thank you, wonderful presenters. This was a different and unusual session for CWI, but very enriching. And now we want to ask any of our participants if you have questions or comments that you'd like to share. Anybody? Unmute and raise your hand.
Hi, I'm Carol Ann. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I came in late. I had a kind of a Zoom meeting before this. I come to Clearinghouse once in a while. This was so delightful. I'd like to learn more of what you do, Evi, and if you have any other sessions that we can join separately, I would love that. I think it was very energizing.
Thank you for asking. Actually, I do. And I can give you in the chat my email. I teach, Harriett Stonehill mentioned that I teach a 2-hour Zoom class on Tuesday mornings from 10 to around 11:45. And I also teach one on Friday, the same class with the same dances, almost the same dances, on Friday nights at 7 o'clock to 8:30.
Oh.
So if you wanna, and I can send you my email address.
Sure.
I'm doing it right this second. Everyone is welcome. I teach every dance. The only thing I ask is that if you have questions like what is this music, or that are not about the steps, that you save it on the chat or at the end, because I do like to make it kind of meditative. But
Yeah.
other than that, everyone is welcome. As I said, I teach every dance each time.
There's no fee.
It's free, right? I do it pro bono for the good of the world.
Well,
It was to save my sanity and all of our others.
Thank you.
that's wonderful. We'll try to put that in the summary of the meeting. And we have a wonderful intern from Now who's with us today, who's going to be taking notes and summarizing the meeting. So if you can just make sure, we'll let you review it and make sure we have the proper information.
Looks like she belongs to Micah.
I can hear you.
And of course, if we ever get back together again, I will be teaching at Temple Micah Tuesday mornings from 10 to 12. That's where we started, but we're in our Zoom rooms now. And when the weather gets nice, I'll probably be offering some outdoor dancing, maybe on a Monday morning, because
Is Temple Micah, is that on Wisconsin Avenue now?
yes.
Wow, yeah. Wonderful synagogue.
Any other comments, questions about the whole program, Wise
I
Aging?
just want to say one thing. This is open to everyone. It has nothing to do with the synagogue. They give us the space free.
Right.
It has nothing to do with being
The dance
Jewish
part,
or
the
anything.
dance part.
Is the book available?
What is
Yes,
that?
the book is available through online booksellers. Yes.
Could you put the name of the book in the chat box?
Sure.
And the authors, of course.
It was also in the invitation
Right.
that we sent, so you have it that way as well.
Wise Aging.
This was wonderful. And I'd like to, since we have a few minutes, announce our next meeting. In March is Women's History Month, and we usually try to focus on women's history event of some sort. And this March 23rd, Tuesday, March 23rd at noon, we're going to have a very exciting event. How many of you ever heard of the National Women's History Museum? Raise your hands.
Yes.
Well, have you heard of the Smithsonian Women's History Museum Act?
No.
No.
Well, that's a very exciting event that happened. It passed in the last Congress and in both houses of Congress in the omnibus bill, and authorized the Smithsonian to start a women's history museum, and it's supposed to get 50% of its funding from the federal coffers. And we're going to have Carolyn Maloney, who is the key sponsor of that, or someone from her office, if she can't come at the last moment, talk to us about the plans for the Smithsonian National History Museum. That's American history. And we are also fortunate that someone from the private virtual National Women's History Museum will also come and join us and give us an update on their plans. And my hope is that there'll be some grand merger of the private museum that's been chugging along since the 1990s, mainly as a virtual museum, that will get information on how the two museums will merge their efforts and how we can all finally create a wonderful, comprehensive National Women's History Museum. So that will be our Clearinghouse on Women's Issues program for noon on March 23rd. We'll give you the details soon. Any questions?
I don't know if, I guess that a notice, I don't know who Gladys Henriksen is, but that meeting that you put into the chat has already taken place. There's a wonderful journal called Sinister Wisdom. It's a journal for lesbians. I mean, it's for everybody, but it's focused on lesbian material. And they had a wonderful new issue called To Be a Jewish Dyke in the 21st Century. And that already took place. But if anyone is interested, it's someone wrote about it in the chat, but that event has already taken place.
So that music match, is that the music that goes along with your presentation, Edie?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Oh, I see from Connie, there's a link.
Oh, yes, those are the words. Connie posted the words to the song Breaths. That was the second song that I did.
Right.
Sweet Honey in the Rock. And those are the words. Actually, there are more words than that.
Yeah.
The dead have made a pact with the living. Very beautiful, beautiful poem.
Yeah.
Of African Senegalese poet and Issei Barneswell, a member of Sweet Honey in the Rock. I suppose most of you have, or many of you have heard of Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Yes, yes.
Been around for like 50
Yeah.
years.
I want to thank you for the Bread and Roses. That's sort of the women's anthem of the American labor movement. And I'm with the DC Labor Chorus. We sing that often. We also do a lot of the things that Sweet Honey in the Rock do, and some of the things from Issei Barneswell's classes that she conducts. So they're all, the music is really good.
Maybe you can post the words to Bread and Roses.
Sure.
they're quite interesting. The second line goes, we take care of men, we mother them
We
again.
mother them again.
It's an
And
early,
that's so true.
Right. Well, I want to thank everyone who attended this and joined in with us, but this was just my program, and the two co-presidents can end or
I'm gonna
what
post.
you want for the rest of the meeting, but
oh,
thanks for knowing you.
Beautiful.
Kavod.
Connie, maybe you want to end, we could end with one more short dance. Let's be cheerful.
Okay.
I'm all for it. I feel
All
cheerful.
right, come on.
It's a
And then-
klezmer dance. It's really, really, really simple. It goes like this. You just go again, just step in a circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you just go around the other way so you don't get too dizzy. And then you just go, you see our steps are very similar. Then we just go in, raising our arms, and out, and in, and out. And then we do the same thing again. 4 of these kind of steps to the right, and 4 to the left, and then in and out, and in and out. The steps are very similar to breaths, except the rhythm is so different and the mood is so different that you'll feel like it's a different song altogether. So I'm putting on Let's Be. This is a klezmer song from the Jewish tradition. It's a Jewish wedding dance. So we can pretend.
I dance this at church.
Beautiful.
So for giving us this opportunity. And whenever you guys Want to leave? It's
Say bye-bye.
the meeting is.
Okay. We thank you so much. It's been, not only have I gotten my steps in, but it's been fun.
Okay,
Good.
Take care and we'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.